morning, viewers. My name is Bankole Idowu Emmanuel. Of course, it is today in the news. Today in the news is where we review newspapers. We do a review of newspaper analysis and current events that are making rounds, across Nigeria. Of course, events that headline major newspapers in Nigeria. Of course, I'm not going to be doing this alone. I have with me in the studio a social commentator, someone who is going to provide an in-depth analysis and allow you make sense of all of the headlines, making rounds today. With me in the studio is Mr. Adekunle Aliu. Mr. Adekunle Aliu, welcome to the program.
Thank you, Bankole.
Yeah, of course, we are going to start with Vanguard newspaper. Of course, Vanguard newspaper is the best newspaper in town. And Vanguard newspaper is leading today with politician, religious leaders fueling insecurity. And that's Buhari saying that, today in the news. I think that statement is coming behind the heels of the Democracy Day celebration. That was a speech President Buhari gave yesterday. And one of the rider is Buhari vows to crack down on instigators of violence, social unrest, says good leadership can lift 100 million people in 10 years, promises to assemble strong team to rebuild Nigeria. What do you think? Do you think that's coming? That's one of the things that is causing insecurity in Nigeria today.
Well, for me, firstly, the president's speech at the Democracy Day was very, very good. It brings hope. And for Nigerians, I think we should give him a chance to do what he needs to do. And he himself has the chance to do the needful, and he should do it. But having said that, the insurgency is a global thing. If you don't put your house right, you won't get things right. In Europe and other countries, they are building on securities every day. Mm-hmm. We at Cuba, we're not building on security. Our security is sometimes too loose.
But the president has just accused politicians and religious leaders. Do you think that is apt at this point in time?
I was going to get there.
Okay.
Now, him blaming politicians and religious leaders is just because of how the politicians use some of these boys, and after using them, what becomes of them after. Those are the result of what we see. Take for instance the militancy, the Ariwa boys or the area boys. After election, these boys becomes monsters. They begin to do what they want to do, or what they see doing, or what they will do, which is the result of what they say as banditry, kidnapping, militancy, Boko Haram. These are reasons why we have these things on ground.
But he has also accused the religious leaders of being behind insecurity. How can you explain that?
How will it he when you discover some religious leader will be inciting people to crises in some part of the country? It's wrong. I don't see why people should incite people to kill people, or people should incite people to go and bomb people's houses.
But have you seen any statement in the media where a religious leader is inciting someone? I haven't read that. Have you read anyone?
If you go through the history of this country and people tell you their experiences in some part of the country, it is always caused by some of these crises are caused by religious leader. Now, but having said that, you would blame one religion more than you blame the other.
Why should that be? Because sometimes, in Nigeria is a kind of multi-ethnic nation, and you have people with different, religious belief and all that. And if, for instance, someone who is a traditional worshipper feels he's not getting enough attention, they could say one or two things, and you feel okay, maybe that is actually inciting their members. For instance, the Shiites group, they've been clamoring for the release of their leader, and no one is that has always fallen, on deaf ears and all that. So, what do you think? Do you think that is a way of fueling insecurity in Nigeria?
Wow. You mentioned name now. I didn't want to mention name, but haven't said.
But that's in the news. It's all over the news.
If you look at the history of the Shiites and how they've been operating, you may not want to talk about it. Because if I begin to talk about what I know, I could be trying to raise some of these things we're talking about. They will see maybe I have a wrong perspective of them, but that is not it. There was a time a group held a military head not to go through a road. You don't do that. You don't barricade the whole road and cause unrest in a state where there's a governor. You don't do that.
Okay, so
You
feel
do
that
your hold on,
that's
sir, hold
stepping
on.
beyond
You
their
do
bounds.
your protest legally. You take permission. You do things according to the law of the country. And when you do things like that, things work well. If you do things against the law will fang at you when it's going to do that. So I don't want us to begin to mention group. We'll begin to put ourselves in a situation.
Okay, let's quickly take another rider. Buhari renames Abuja National Stadium after MKO. Do you think this is timely?
Wow. That's
And this has not made any criticism on, like, when the ex-president Goodluck Jonathan did the same for University of Lagos, and people were it was.
I'm happy that in Abuja, I least expected. I never expected that he would name an edifice.
That's the democracy surprise.
But
Right? Democracy surprise.
It was good. No, it was loud. I'm happy for him. It was something he will always be remembered for. And that's a good one. I wish we can have some of these things. It integrates us more when we do things like this. How you can just wake up someday and you hear in Sokoto, one place in Sokoto is called Abiola Kinikon Stadium in Sokoto. And you come to maybe in Oyo State and you hear Usman Danfodio Kinikon in Oyo State. It brings about cohesion. It brings people together.
But how timely is this?
Because
we know that ex-leaders have actually ignored this. They have failed to recognize the June 12 as a democracy, and he has done this. Do you think he deserves some commendation?
Of course, not only that. You could see yesterday Oshoba said Buhari acknowledged MKO as president. So you see from Buhari's action that he knows that, or he agrees with the fact that MKO is the people's man.
Okay, one of the riders also on the Vanguard newspaper is Buhari threatens to deal with corrupt politicians. This is the second tenure of the president. Of course, some people have said that maybe because it was the first time, and then the first term rather, and he's trying to seek office, for the second time, and because of that, he might not, have the clout, to deal with corrupt, parasitical politicians that some have said are in his cabinet and all that. But now he's saying this. Do you think we can take the word of the president?
Well, he's a leader, so he should deal with corrupt leaders. People in his cabinet that are not doing well, he should fire them. If I were him, I would have a template for every of my ministers, my directors, my supervisors. If you don't meet the standard, if you go short of this, please get out. You're not fit for this cabinet. So there should be a yardstick, and I don't know if he has that, and if he has, he should use it. Fire ministers that are not doing well. Let them know you have a standard. There's a target. In 2 years, in 6 months, in 10 weeks, in 100 days. This is where I want everybody. This is what I want everybody to do.
But in the past 4 years, a lot of Nigerians have criticized the anti-corruption crusade of the president. Do you think this time we can have something better? Do you think it's because he has just said here that he's going to deal with corrupt politicians. He said this, when he first got into office, and a lot of people were expecting Mr. President to do more. And some said, especially from the opposition, that the fight against corruption is more like a kind of charade. It's not real. Like, they feel it's one-sided. Do you think we are going to have a kind of all-encompassing, corruption fight here?
Well, to fight corruption is not the president alone that will do it. The police will do it. The SS will do it. The EFCC will do it. Me and you will do it. We will have to report corrupt people to the appropriate quarters that will now do the fighting. Now, all I expect is that he will enable the arms to do it free and fair, as in without bias. So, what I'm saying is that this second term, he should fight corruption headlong. He should tackle those politicians, tackles the leaders that are corrupt, even in his own cabinet. Expose them, let people see this thing happening. And I talk about the yardstick, that's what I'm talking about, yardstick. If in his cabinet people don't meet the yardstick, get them out. If they are not pious enough, let them leave, so that at least the government can have a semblance of sanity.
Okay, that's let's move quickly to another rider, which says that Obasanjo, Jonathan, IBB, Abubakar Sean event. What do you think? Are you puzzled that former leaders were not present at the event. Of course, that's the maiden Democracy Day celebration. So, are you puzzled that they are not there? Do you think that carries, or that has a lot, to say?
I am not impressed that those leaders who are not there. Personally, I don't like it, because this is the first celebration of the Democracy Day, June 12th. And if before now they've been saying something and making speech during June 12th Day, which was not officially as this yesterday, then this is when our time to come out and back it up and say, okay, we appreciate what the people want with June 12th, what the people understand about June 12th, and they're not there. For me, it's a minus for them.
It's a minus, like you said. Of course, I've been speaking with Mr. Adekunle Aliu, a social commentator, and this is Today in the News, where we're providing you with in-depth analysis of events making round in the paper. Of course, let's take the last of the riders on Vanguard newspaper. Declaring June 12 Democracy Day not enough. This is coming from Alhaji Atiku Abubakar, former vice president.
Yes, it's not enough. It's not enough for Nigerians.
Okay, you think the president could have done more? Like, do you think?
When Atiku is saying it's not enough, it's not because he's using it to score cheap points. We want more. We want peace.
But don't you
Hold
think?
on. You see, I want to cite what the president said here. He said, correcting injustice is a prerequisite for peace and unity. So we want more peace, more unity, more economic stability,
And you feel
more
declaring June 12
employment.
Democracy Day will foster unity among Nigerians? Is that what you are saying?
Why are we declaring June 12 a Democracy Day? It's to foster peace and unity.
Okay. So that's basically.
Because if
to
you look at it, people are saying that it's the freest election in Nigeria so far.
Of course.
And
It's.
I think people have a belief about that election that it could have brought about more cohesion, because all over north, south, east, west, everybody's saying June 12 election, free and fair.
But wait,
June 12 election,
are you
free and
really
fair.
saying that Atiku's position on this is basically that of the opposition, and the
No,
president has
it's
done?
not about an opposition.
Okay, so
Every right-thinking Nigeria, let me put that word in quote, wants more. When you begin to compare your country with other countries, you want more. You want good road, you want stable light, you want economic stability, you want to be able to set up business as a startup, and you're enjoying things people in England are enjoying. We want more.
okay, so let's quickly move to another headline on the Vanguard newspaper, which says that how best to immortalize MKO Abiola, and this is coming from Akinrinde Sanwo-Olu and Pat Utomi. Don't you think this actually protects what Atiku is saying, that it is not just declaring June 12 as Democracy Day? It is not enough, to name the the Abuja National Stadium as now the MKO Abiola Stadium. Do you think this actually lay credence to Atiku's claims?
They also want more. They also want more. They also want things done. Like I said, you want to wake up and see a Nigeria where things work, where there is no traffic, where the roads are okay, where you could take your bus, take a sub train, and just move around at ease, not be afraid to go out. People want more. That's what they are saying. They are not saying everybody's enjoying June 12. All Nigerians are enjoying what June 12 stands for, but they want more. They want to see things work.
So, what do you think the president could have done more aside naming the national stadium and declaring June 12 as a public holiday? What do you think he could have done more?
Take for instance the Apapa gridlock,
Okay.
the tanker drivers and their menacing Lagos.
But how would that relate to
Now
June
hold
12?
on. That's what we're saying. Let's
Okay.
have a sane society. We're not saying what he did yesterday, June 12th day, is wrong. No, that's not what they're saying. They're saying let's do more. Let's get our society working right. Let's get things right in the right perspective. Let's put the right peg in the right hole. Let's have seamless government whereby you can register for a business, you can be taxed appropriately, the police will not harass you unjustly, the justice system will work for the people and not the other way around. That's what they are saying. That's what I think they are saying. They're not saying, give us something on democracy, they give us food on democracy. No, let's do more to keep this country one.
Okay, hold on your thoughts. Right now we are going to go to some headlines that are above the nameplate of the Vanguard. But then after that, we are still coming back to what the Vanguard actually led with, which is politician, religious leader fueling insecurity. That was, of course, part of the speech that was given by the president yesterday. Above the nameplate of the Vanguard is the Ninth Assembly jostling for other principal officers intensifies. Do you think that's good enough at this time? Of course, that's exactly what we expect, after the election and people start jostling for positions and all that. But how do you think that is going to affect an ordinary Nigerian, with all of this? Or do you think this is another game of interest? And
well, they will have to do that because there are other positions aside Lawan, Gbadagba Amila, and Bango. They've gotten their own seats, their own position in the Senate or in the National Assembly rather. There are other positions. The majority leader, other principal posts, 16 of them, I think.
Okay,
hold on. Now, if you get the right person in the right place, it will, the policies and way they do things will affect the people.
Okay, some have actually said that Jibrin, Abdul Momen Jibrin, who orchestrated the emergence of Dogara, the former Speaker of House of Assembly, gave an elaborate speech, that was about 2 days ago concerning Gbadagba Amila and all that. But are you saying people like that, when they get quote unquote, a juicy juicy committee to head, do you think that's a reward for, supporting Gbadagba Amila and all that?
Whatever you could call it reward, you could call it anything.
But if that is the
case,
if
the right person is in the right
if that
place.
is the case, then that does not justify jostling for principal offices and all that. That shouldn't be. I think it's something that should just happen. Naturally.
No,
when you think someone is, when you think someone fits into a particular position and then can deliver, in that position, such person should take the seat.
This is what happened there. Like the chief whip, they would all have to jostle. Everybody has a right to be the chief whip. Everybody in the Senate or in the National Assembly has a right to be Senate leader. So there is their own inner arrangement. Somebody has to take on those positions, and each one of them will fight for it. So it's not as if come, you take this. The Senate president will now say, okay, you take this. No, there's a mechanism they will use. They all have to fight for it.
Okay, Ninth Assembly jostling for other principal offices intensify. You can see that on page 9 of the Vanguard newspaper. So let's go to page 8, where this story of Atiku. Atiku right to challenge Buhari's re-election. This is coming from ex-president Jonathan. But I think he's actually saying this, from the point of view of, okay, because I didn't challenge my defeat in court does not mean that Atiku cannot, do the same, because people are feeling that, okay, Jonathan did not challenge, why are you going to the court? Why can't you just allow the 4 year to go and then maybe you contest in 2023? Do you think this is right? And do you think it's democratic enough?
Atiku has a right to challenge it.
Okay, coming from Jonathan.
Yeah.
Okay, so
he is saying, because I did not, like you said, doesn't mean Atiku should not. He has let the court decide. That's the place where we take cases to, and you meet the arbiter and they solve it and they interpret the law the right way. If he wins there, so good. And if he loses, better for the system. Okay, you understand that? Okay, the law says you have lost. So Atiku has a right.
But then the timing, the process, what do you make of that? Declaring going to the tribunal and all that, do you think it should have been done before the second time inauguration of President Buhari?
These things take time. They are still in court. It can't be concluded before the inauguration.
But we've always made case for speeding up, judicial processes and all that. Do you think this is one of it? If we've had a judicial system that is very, very, fast, you can determine a case within a month and all that. Of course, we should know if Atiku is going to, win at the tribunal or not.
I am not a lawyer, so I don't understand some of the intricacies of this.
All right, you
That's
can.
why I want to say it is wrong or right.
All right.
But having said that, the man has a right
To go.
to contest.
All right, you can find that story on page 8 of the Vanguard newspaper. Atiku right to challenge Buhari's re-election in court. That's coming from Jonathan. Of course, let's move to other stories now that are making round. Banditry could be worse than Boko Haram. Of course, you find that also on page 8, and that's coming from the SJF boss Mustafa.
Yeah.
So, what do you make of that? What are your thoughts on that?
It could be worse if you have banditry. It's spreading. Kidnapping. It's spreading.
Do you think this statement is actually an indictment on the government, because he's part of the government and he's saying that they are not doing enough, to curb the excesses of
He's
banditry?
saying if they don't do more.
Okay, does that mean that they've not been doing more?
I'm not saying that.
Okay, so
He's saying if we don't work at it more, it could be worse than Boko Haram. And I bet to agree. Boko Haram is just in one section of the north. Now, for banditry, it's like everywhere. You go to the Benue, you go to Kaduna, you hear of the killings in Oyo and in Ondo of recent. Yesterday, I think in Oyo they said Lagos, Ife Expressway, they said some headsmen attacked commuters and one was killed. Also, I think somewhere in Ondo or in Akure,
well,
there's a case like that.
All of this is...
Sorry, I'm sorry to cut you short.
Okay.
What I'm saying is that if we don't tackle this thing headlong now, it could be worse than Boko Haram.
Okay, but do you think it's now the time, because all of this is actually escalating, and do you think it's the right time to change the service chiefs? Because I think some people are clamoring for it in the news that in their time, I think that was the Yoruba elders that was a few days back, they were saying that the service chief, they've actually overstayed their tenure, and then there should be some changes so as to maybe that could actually address the security situation in the country. Do you think that is we need to look into that now?
It's a debatable discussion.
Okay.
So I don't know the criteria that you will use to pick a service chief. So if I know the criteria, I'll say, okay, maybe this was acceptable. But having said that, why people are clamoring for that price? Because they've not seen the kind of result they want to see in terms of security. Too much insecurity. And the service chief, the police commissioner, the police inspector general, the chief of army staff, the minister of defense, and all of them like that, people will be saying change them if they don't see results. But they will claim they have results. It depends. I really don't know. I've been asking myself some questions. I said, would you change, if I were the president, would I change these people?
But if they are not performing, don't you think, if there are security lapses and all that, I'm not saying they are not, but I'm saying that, they've been there for like about 4 years, going to 4 years plus now, and then we are still having security issues. In fact, they are escalating every day, and don't you think that it's time? I think something has to be done. Of course, let's hold on and talk, and let's go to another story that is of interest, and that's June 12, that's June 12, YCE, sorry, I beg your pardon, YCE kicks as DSS arrest leader of pro Abiola rally in Oyo State. That's on Democracy Day, DSS arresting the leader of YCE. What do you make of that?
The story said that they were arrested for not securing the appropriate permit for their protest.
But they said they got permission from the police before the rally, and what they said was it was a peaceful rally. That why should they be arrested? Why should their leaders be arrested?
That's why I talk about constitution, doing things constitutional.
Are you saying it is unconstitutional to
I've not investigated to say if they are wrong or not, if they got the permit or not.
If you have the approval of the police, why should DSS, arrest the leaders of people that are protesting, peacefully on a Democracy Day? Why?
Even in your peaceful process, you need to take permission.
That's what they have said. Now, the AYC.
Hold on. Okay. You think the police did not give them? You think the police gave them permission?
Well, that was what they said.
Now, can you verify that from where you're sitting down now? We can't verify this statement. These are things they said. Now, hold on. It means that for us to support or to be against them, we need to verify. So my comment would be, what we're reading here, and I said, well, let their public quarters, they should sue. If they have their permit authentically, they should sue.
All right, June 12, YCA kicks as DSS arrest leader of Pro-Abiola rally in Oyo. You can find our story on page 38 of the Vanguard. It's just above the nameplate of the Vanguard. Of course, let's quickly go to some of one of our other stories, which is Olufason State of the Nation. That's one of our columnists. Olufason, let me quickly read this. It's just like a quote. It said, June 12 only gives Nigerians another public holiday. Beyond that, it signifies nothing meaningful.
Wow,
are you thinking this is actually going the line of what article is saying?
I wish I had read what Olufason wrote here, but I disagree with him saying it just gives us only a public holiday. I do this. I was somewhere yesterday and the people were discussing about June 12, and I tried to enlighten them a little bit, and I said, we believe that it gave us a free and fair election where North, South, East, West believe that election was real.
But I think
now, hold on, sorry, I'm sorry to cut you. What I'm saying is that it's not a public holiday. There is something in June 12 that we should build on. Democracy taught. It's a language that we should hold on, that the children of tomorrow should hold on to, that June 12 serves as the democracy, because that election was believed to be free and fair all over.
But people they are actually saying that it should be that we should try to deepen democratic values, and if that is not done, it could be, this could
you have to go before we begin to criticize him. We have to go and read what he's saying more. But what I'm saying is that it's not just a public holiday. We should build on June 12. That's what I said when everybody's asking for more. So okay, democracy is here, June 12, we are celebrating democracy. Let's entrench true democracy in our system, in ourselves, in the people. Let our election be always free and fair. By the time, we should remove any form of rigging from our style of election. Okay. We should sign the Electoral Act. We should do things that will hold the tenets of democracy up high. And we believe in June 12. That's what I think people are saying about June 12.
He feels that is lacking, and that's why he said if we do not do all of those things that you have just said now, that it will not go beyond the public holiday, that it's just going to mean nothing. You can argue that it's just going to be like another Christmas holiday, and
that is the more that everybody is asking for. That is the more. That is the more.
All right, we'll get your thoughts on that later. All right, Olufason State of the Nation, you can read that on page 32 of the Vanguard newspaper. Let's quickly go to other news now on the Vanguard front page, which is 5 injured as explosion rocks Rivers shopping mall. Explosion in Rivers State.
That explosion, they said, was caused by a gas cylinder or something. That's some of the things we're saying. Who approves things to be done when it should be done? Why should a gas cylinder explode in a shopping mall? Somebody should be checking. Somebody should be investigating. Somebody should be letting others know what you should do and what you shouldn't do with a gas cylinder in a shopping mall.
All right, let's quickly move to other news, and of course this will be on education, and this is actually on page 39 of Vanguard newspaper. Protest. NANS shuts down Oyo government office. Demand funding for education. Do you think education has been underfunded in Nigeria? Underfunded in Nigeria?
They've been saying it, that our budget for education should be 26% or 22% of the national budget. And I don't think we've gotten to that.
Okay.
So that will say it's been underfunded. But again, the thing is this money, where are they coming from? How are we spending it? If we put the whole 26% of the national budget into education, will those who are going to handle this budget spend it even appropriately also? Now that's another thing again. Even the little one that they are getting, are they spending it well?
Okay, let's look at other stories, and this is basically on the economy, saying minority shareholders seek refund of cost for Wano AGM's suspension. You can get that story on page 8 of the Vanguard newspaper. All right, a way to I think let's quickly look this on the front page of the Vanguard, and this actually addressed the economy. The CBN is saying that there is no change in forest policy. You can get that on page 9. No change in forest policy. What?
The policy still remains the same. That's what they're saying.
You think that will affect the naira stability and all of that?
They remain the same. I've not read that story, so I don't want to make comments I have not read.
All right. Of course, that's the Vanguard newspaper. Of course, before we move to other newspaper, let's quickly look at the major news, major headline of the Vanguard newspaper, which is politicians, religious leaders fueling insecurity, and that's coming from President Buhari. And before we go, I would like our guests to quickly respond on that. Do you think that is just passing the buck?
Oh God, passing the buck of what? He made a statement. He's not passing the buck. He said they are responsible. Somebody is responsible for this thing. That's why he said religious leader, politicians are responsible. He's part of the politicians that are responsible for that. So that's why he said we are responsible. Nigerians are responsible for these things. That's what he's saying. We are responsible. He should tackle it.
Okay, on a lighter note, let's quickly look at one other story making the rounds in the Vanguard, and that is ex-man beheads fiancé in Ekiti for refusing to spend Eid al-Fitr with him. That's really absurd.
That's that's hideous.
Yes.
That's callous. I don't even know what to say about this. For refusing to spend Eid al-Fitr with him. Come on. Jesus Christ. It's callous. This is sheer wickedness. Oh God.
Yes. Okay, let's quickly move to the Guardian newspaper. The Guardian newspaper leads with Gowon Obasanjo, other ex-leaders absent from June 12 celebration. The rider, why Buhari is insincere about democratic ideals. President vowed to lift 100 million citizens out of poverty. Renames National Stadium after Abiola. We have all of that.
Yeah, we talked about.
But let's look at, like, are you what's your take on Gowon Obasanjo and all that? Despite the fact that their names were included in copies of the program printed, what do you think? What do you think of that?
Like I said before, that we dealt with it when we were doing the Vanguard review. It's a minus, and I don't know why they were not there. Maybe it could be a protest. Maybe in later days they will state why they were not there. Let's see.
All right.
But again, it looks like Gowon was at the dinner, wasn't he?
No, he wasn't there. That's what the.
That's the gala night. The gala night, not
So
the gala night. It's not the gala night.
Okay, let's quickly move to other news. On the Guardian newspaper, cult clash. Mob attack claim 7 persons in Bayelsa. Cult clash in Bayelsa State. Of course, you can get that on page 4 of the Guardian. What I regret about June 12 struggle. This is coming from Olisa Agbakoba. You can get that on page 14 of the Guardian. DSS Army NSCDC arrests activists. Stop June 12 rally in Ibadan. That is on page 7 of the Guardian. Poor implementation, corruption, allegation, politicization, FD social safety net scheme. All of that is on the Vanguard, on the Guardian newspaper. Let's quickly go to the Punch newspaper and see what we have there. Mixed reactions as Buhari vows to rebuild Nigeria, rename stadium after MK. We've talked about that before. But can you just give us
The reactions now will be negative and positive.
Of course.
Those who want it and those who don't want it. It's mixed. But the man has done something good.
Alright, the writer is saying, according to one of the writer of the Punch, is President's policy against June 12 ideals. That's coming from Atiku. Governor hails Buhari for honoring Abiola, urge unity. Obasanjo, Jonathan Gowon, others absent from Democracy Day event.
President Buhari has done something good. Let's give him this next one. He has won. Let's give him the kudos for this June 12th thing. He has really.
All right, let's quickly go to other news on the Punch newspaper, which is FG has weaponized poverty to subjugate Nigerians. That's coming from Obi Ezekwesili.
Come again?
FG has weaponized poverty to subjugate Nigerians. It's coming from Obi Ezekwesili. And she was actually making that statement in Ikeja, Lagos yesterday, when she held a rally with some people. All right, let's quickly move to page 4 of the Punch newspaper. Suspected herdsmen attack travelers in Osun, kill LG worker, herdsman behead wife in Ekiti. We've talked about that. Okay, so Lawan Gbajabiamila may name members of committee today.
Remember we were looking at what they were going to do just for.
But are you expecting any surprises? I think that was what greeted Dogara, and that was what greeted or started rather the issue of Dogara and Abdulmumin.
Those are the major. These ones are the minor.
Okay, so are you expecting any surprises?
Those are like after you've taken the head boy and the head girl. Okay, who will be the labor prefect? Who will be the class prefect? These ones, whatever comes, we'll take.
All right, let's quickly move to other news. Above the nameplates of the Punch is Buhari Tinubu will soon taste El-Rufai's venom, says Shehu Sani.
Wow, that's a big one.
Of course, it was in the news then that El-Rufai Tinubu had there was some rift then. Of course, he has come out to the news and to deny that there was nothing of such. But here is what Shehu Sani is saying.
How really is? Well,
what do you think this statement is actually coming on the heels of what Shehu Sani and El-Rufai had going into the 2019 election, because the media had reported some issues between the two.
Of recent they said El-Rufai said something about Godfather in Lagos, that no Godfather in Kaduna, blah blah blah, and Sani Shehu have been having a crisis with El-Rufai. He can say what he likes to say. He's saying the man Buhari and Tinubu will now see El-Rufai's venom. Let's wait, time will tell. If he's saying the right thing or wrong, we'll know. The future is here, it's already here.
Alright, another news is FG lift land border vehicle importation ban. That's coming from the custom, but you can get that on page 26. Of course, another news here is DSS stops June 12 rally in Ibadan, arrest 3. We've discussed that before, so you can. Alright, so let's quickly move to other newspaper, and of course I'm moving to The Nation. The Nation is leading with something very different, and that is King Ibe. Obasanjo knew about June 12 annulment.
That's the first time I'm saying that. I was wondering where this is new. If Obasanjo knew about the annulment, what could he do as at that time? That's the question again you ask. What could he have done?
But there were reports that the ex-president was I think he had actually done. He had conveyed a meeting, on the June 12 crisis and all that. I think that was basically, to address, the issues of June 12. Then, don't you think maybe he knew more about it, and that was why he was trying to maybe right some wrong, and that was basically the reason for convening such meeting?
But again, if Obasanjo knew about the annulment, what would he have done?
But King Ibe was the running mate to MK Abiola in the defunct SDP party.
Obasanjo was not the president.
But he was a former head of state then.
What could Jonathan do now to stop Buhari from doing something?
Alright, you can find that story on page 6 of The Nation. Let's quickly look at other stories making rounds in The Nation. That Balogun defies Olubadan's order on Egungun Festival. That's on page 41. You want to comment on that?
Those Olubadan, let's leave them alone.
Tinubu hails Fawemi Beko on Democracy Day.
That's a good word.
Fawemi, remember, was one of the activists that President Buhari had honored him recently.
So Tinubu should commend them. They were all fighting for democracy. Tinubu, Fawemi, Beko, Ekiti State Governor, the Nadeko people, they deserve commendation too.
Okay, let's move to other stories on The Nation. The Nation, let's see one on above the nameplate of The Nation. That's priest held in Ekiti for faking own kidnap. This story would never go away from the news.
Banditry.
that's
you can imagine.
But we've been hearing things like people faking their own kidnap for to get the ransom.
It's
Is it to get at some people or what?
it's there for ransom. It's human nature to be crooked at times. So he tried it and he's been caught. He's going to pay for it.
Okay, to sport now, Nigeria's Super Falcon beat Korea 2-0.
That's a plus for us. We're moving ahead in that game.
Okay, let's quickly move to other newspaper, and that's This Day. This Day is leading with, we will lift 100 million Nigerians out of poverty. It's a big one.
He will lift in 10 years. That's what that's.
But I think the speech of the president actually highlighted how he plans to go about that. Have you read the speech?
What I'm saying is that he said in 10 years. So it means
Yeah, of course, there's
it's
going
not
to be
only
a
the one that will
plan to-
do it. It's not going to be only his government. So, but in 10 years, if things are done, remember I said about the more. If things are done appropriately well, as it should be, Nigeria should come out of poverty in 10 years.
Okay, one of the rider is to assemble strong team to drive transformation agenda. Transformation agenda was, I think, was first used by the former president. Transformation agenda. We need transformation right now. That's what the president is saying.
You can start another transformation upon transformation. What we're saying is, let's do things right. If we don't do things right, in the next 10 years again, we'll be talking about these same problems. Before now, 10 years before now, they'll be talking about that. 10 years before that, 10 years, they'll be talking about this, doing things right, lifting Nigerians out of poverty. Let's do things right.
Okay, in one of the other riders says renames Abuja National Stadium after Abiola, blames political religious leaders for insecurity. Okay, let's quickly move to other news, and that's concerning 2019 budget. Okay, the news is above the nameplate of the This Day newspaper said 2019 budget threatened as oil price slumps to $60 per barrel.
Wow, that's our major resources, a big source of resources, a fund. I think all we can do is pray that the thing go higher.
Okay, let's quickly move to other stories here, and that's denying Bloomberg's reports, CBN not floating the Naira, says no change in exchange rate structure.
We've talked about that.
Okay, let's look at the story on INEC and Okorocha, and that's on page 8 of the This Day newspaper, saying that INEC to appeal judgment on Okorocha's certificate of return. Because that's yesterday.
INEC is angry. They want to appeal that judgment. But they've given him a certificate. So
Okay.
that's what we're saying. If we do
Okay,
things
did-
right,
did
let's
that-
go to the
did that
court.
really mean
They've given him
anything after
they have given him his certificate. Let's go to the court. They will want to take it back. They want to prove. They have to prove. They have to fight. They have to take legal battle to justify what they want. He has done what he wants. He has gotten his own letter back. They want the letter back. They want to withdraw it from him. They are alleging things against him. They should go to the court and prove. Appeal.
All right, if you are just joining us, this is Vanguard Live today in the news, and this is where we've been doing newspaper review and in-depth analysis. Of course, I've not been doing this alone. I've been doing it with Adekunle Aliu. Adekunle Aliu is a social commentator, and he has been giving us deep insights into all of this happening. Of course, please, if we advise that you like us on Facebook and share this page. Of course, we're going to take your comments too, but keep it, very responsible, short, and very, very simple. Let's quickly go to the comments we are having here on Facebook, and this is Vincent Obadofin. Vincent Obadofin is saying that Buhari failed to secure Nigeria. Do you think that's the case? Over 4 years, we are still having insecurity issues in Nigeria.
Is there a world or a nation where they don't have insecurity issues? Even the US, who is the super security people, you still see people still kill people anyhow with their guns on the street. We will get there, but we should do things right. We should place people in the right place. We should all work for security. It can't be done by the police alone, by the army alone. Everybody will work this thing out. We should also partake. We will be blaming him, yes. He takes the ball, they said he's the leader. But we should also
Okay, let's take another comment, and this is coming for Ayanyi Jolie. Ayanyi Jolie is saying that action speaks louder than words. This government should match words with action and stop making empty promises. These
I-
religious leaders are not bigger than the nation at large. Any erring leader should be brought to book decisively. His own opinion.
I agree with him that the government should match actions with words. They should talk the talk. I mean, walk the talk. Is that how they say it? Do what you're saying. Let's see. That's one thing I think this government has not really shown Nigeria, or maybe they should just put actions to their words.
Okay, let's look at let's take another comment here, and that's going to come from Nura Usman Ahudu. Nura Usman is saying that June 2020 election was the most credible we have ever witnessed in Nigeria. I think he's making some comments.
I've said that before. That's the perception of everybody.
All right, let's quickly go to social media trends and let's see what's making the rounds here in the social media. Of course, we start with Thursday thoughts, and Thursday thoughts here is actually leading with Thursday thoughts. Let's quickly take some of the social media trends. All right, Karabo Mogoko is saying here that I think this is just his own Thursday thought. He said, "Good morning, beautiful people. Learn to be happy with what you have." You know, people will say that contentment is great gain and all that. What's your Thursday thought?
We want more.
That's your Thursday
So we are
thought.
not happy with what we have. So we want more. So
That's your-
in some cases, you have to desire to acquire. So you can. It's not in every case you are going
But
to.
when you want more with limited resources,
and
don't you think that is out
it's
of
not in
place?
every case you are going to be contented with what you have.
Mm.
There's a contentment with godliness.
Godliness.
So we want more. We are not contented with what we have currently in Nigeria. We want good things. We want good things of life. We want good economic policy. We want what? We want more. Good things.
All right, inspiring quote also on Thursday thought is saying that some of the best moments are never captured by cameras and are not posted in any social media platform. They are kept in private and are cherished together with the best people. That sounds
That's very apt.
great. Yeah.
Some of our best moments are not captured in cameras, truly.
So your best moments are not captured in print.
No.
Okay,
No.
so-
They are your faculty. You think about them and you just laugh and you smile to yourself. Say, oh, whoa, thank God that happened to me. You know, some of this is when they happen. You are not having a camera to do a selfie or a recording. Just like, oh, this is beautiful. Like when you fall in love. Can you record that?
That's cool. Okay, let's see what Apocalypse is saying on the Thursday thought. He's saying that life is the difference between what you want to be and what people force you to be. That's deep.
That's deep.
Yeah, that's deep. Life is difference. It's the difference between what you want to be and what people force you to become.
Wow, that's deep. Try to understand it.
But you think he's out on that, but I think as human we can make independent decision. You don't have to dance to the whims and caprices of people. I don't think that is.
It depends.
You should be able to be yourself. Some say when life throws lemon at you, you make it lemonade
out of it. So it all depends. So when life throws lemon at you and you're going to make a lemonade, then maybe sometimes it's what people want you to be that you be, so that you can walk appropriately in that situation. But again, this guy's statement is deep. So I'm still trying to understand.
Okay, before we end the show, let's quickly take this one. This is very, very funny. He said, cats spend 2/3 of their life. Cats spend 2/3 of their lives sleeping and the rest making viral videos. that's something.
That's very comical.
All right, this might be where we're going to end it because this is today in the news, and we just concluded the social media trend of today in the news. Of course, we've reviewed major newspapers. Today I started with the Vanguard newspaper. Of course, there are a lot of events that that were making round, that are making round in the news. Of course, that headline most major newspaper, and we've tried to provide a deep insight, into that. I didn't do this alone. Of course, I've been doing it with Adekunle Aliu. Adekunle Aliu is, I understand you're also a journalist, right? He's a journalist and social commentator.
You know my title, you just don't want to talk about it.
You might not want to have that. Alright, so this is where we might have to end it. My name is Bankole Ido. Of course, I've been standing in for Victor Oguyinka. Victor Oguyinka will be back on Monday, to serve you a fresh dose of what is making round in the news. Thank you for staying tuned.